Hello and welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. My name is Lucy Aita. I'm happy to be here again today to teach an absolute beginner painting. I want to do something today that anybody can do. You don't need any skill for this or any training. You just would follow me along, maybe watch the video first, get your supplies ready, then come back and stop it back and forth while you watch, okay? And learn as you go. This is something that you need just a few colors of paint, a few brushes, and everything will run across the screen, and I'm just gonna get started and talk along the way. So what I'm using today is a 16 by 20 wrapped canvas. I'm using Wilson Bickford Signature products, and I'm going to start off by using just a couple colors to make a really cool looking background, okay? And I'm going to be using the Fast Flow White, his Fast Flow White, in the opposite way of what we usually use it, how we usually use it. All right, so first I'm taking a scenery brush, and you can tell that the Wilson Bickford scenery brush has the angle on it. And I have a dry canvas. And I'm just gonna start to deposit some color on the canvas. So I'm going to load the brush by tapping into cobalt blue, which is a beautiful, beautiful blue color. And I'm going to rough it in. Now you can see the tooth of the canvas, which is these lines in here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but believe me, there's these little lines that go back and forth, okay? And I'm going to just rough in some paint. And it's gonna look funny for a while until I put the Fast Flow on, which I'm going to be putting over, okay? I'm actually putting it over the paint and blending it instead of putting it on first like we usually do, okay? So I'm just depositing some color, just random color. This is going to be a little bit abstract, this painting, and it actually is going to be some simple branches. I want to show how to do some simple branches and some simple blossoms on the branches. There's so many different kinds of flowering trees. I'm not picking which tree type it is. I mean, you can say it looks like a dogwood or even an apple tree before the apples come, that it has some nice blossoms on it. So there, I'm depositing some blue, okay? And I know, like I said, it looks pretty rough. Putting a little bit more, and you can see I'm not really blending it in, okay? Just want to get some blue on there. Now, without even cleaning my brush, I'm just going into some Van Dyke Brown, tapping it in there just so it distributes a little evenly. Not even worried if I'm getting in the blue there. I'm gonna just mix it a little. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna rough in some brown. So now, very popular pattern, very popular palette for people's homes are actually the brown with the blue. So I wanted to do something a little bit brown and blue. Now, I don't want to put in too much brown because the branches and all are going to be brown, okay? So I just want to get a little bit of brown in there. And without cleaning the brush, washing the brush, I'm just going to go over into the black. I'm going to get some dark black in here. Now, it already looks pretty cool, just starting to fill up. I am going to blend, like I said. I'm going to be using that Fast Flow, which is a liquid titanium white. And you're going to see a big difference once I do that. So, I'm going to get a little bit more dark here and there, just to, no rhyme or reason to this pattern I'm doing. Just getting in some darks here and there, and I can always add a little bit more, just to give it some interest. Trying to get a little bit more up here. And this is the way we start a background, okay? So this is a new way to start a background. Now, just shaking up this titanium white, and this is going to, titanium white Fast Flow, I should say. It's gonna drip a little, so I'm gonna have to hold up my palette a little bit while I get some out here. And I'm going to take a bigger brush, okay? This is the number 2, and it's bigger than the one, of course, is pretty much double the size. And I'm tapping into some of this fast flow. Now you can see if I hold it here, it will drip a little. It's the same as the titanium, but it is more liquidy, all right? So I'm gonna have to hold my, my canvas. So I'm just going to lay this down, but when I do go back down to my palette, all I'm doing is tapping more of the fast flow on. So now I have it loaded, and just going to come in here, and I want to blend this out a little bit. I want the canvas to be dry, not really, really damp, because when I put the branches over, my brush will pick up some of the paint underneath, okay? And I don't want it to pick up too much. Otherwise, what I can do is I can scrape some of the paint off. But if we don't have to, it's easier. We don't have to. All right, so here we go. Fast flow, I'm gonna spread it out really well. Now you can see that it's starting to blend. And I don't want to blend totally because I want it to look a little bit rough. All right, and you can see the difference. All right, you can see the difference from top to bottom. I'm coming back again. I'll just come down here, get a little on, spread it around, and then I can always step back and take a look. And if I want to put more color in, I can put more color in. And you can hear how dry it is by the noise that this brush is making. Okay, so I put the fast flow on a few times. And I may not have to put it on again. I'm pushing a little harder right now to try to blend that out. So I'm pushing a little too hard and it's not blending, so I will go back and get a little bit more of the fast flow. All right, you can see how that went on there. And now we have a pretty cool looking background without a lot of fast flow. Now, I might have a little bit too much up here, and we'll see. There's not going to be too many branches there, so I'm not too worried about it. So I can just blend it out a little more. I'll step back, take a peek, and I think that looks pretty good. Now, you can make this as bright as you want. You can use other colors. I just like the idea of using the brown and the blue today. So now what I'm going to do is I'll set down this big brush, get my palette back again, okay? And I'm going to put in some branches. Now, I have a filbert brush here, all right? And I'll just go into this Van Dyke brown, maybe a little bit of black. I want it nice and dark. Now, in order for this paint to go across, I probably have to thin it just a tiny bit. So what I'll do is I'm just going to dunk this brush in a little bit of the odorless turpentine, all right? And just going to mix it up a little and make it a little bit thin. Now, I don't want to use too much paint, so I'm going to try to just drag it out a little. Now, this filbert brush makes nice branches, all right? You can use a straight brush too. You can use quite a few brushes to do branches. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start on the side here, and I'm just going to lay the brush down, and I'm going to push it along, and I'm pushing hard. I'm getting a ridge. That's okay. That'll just make it look more natural, and I'm turning, 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 turning. I want to make this jagged looking branch, okay? So now you can see I'm picking up quite a bit of paint there. So I have paper towels down here. I'm just wiping the brush back and forth and getting some off, okay? Now I'll go back again, get some fresh paint. And it looks like a little thick, so maybe what I will do is I'll just put my brush in that Terpenoid again, loosen that paint right back up. I'm using mostly brown. I'll add a little black there, just so I get a little variation in color. It's just watching to make sure my fast flow isn't dripping, and it seems to be holding up pretty good right there. So I can start back over here and push, push, push. I'm turning. See, I'm just turning the brush. Like I said, anybody can do this. Oh, picked up quite a bit again there. Wipe off, and I'm going back again. Okay. So, and then I'm just going to turn and taper it up. So in other words, I'm lifting the pressure. Here we go. See how much I picked up. So that means maybe I had a little bit too much fast flow under there. And that's okay too, because I'm going to show you what else you can do in case, as a beginner, you add a little bit too much paint, which is very, very common to do. So we can call that a branch to start with. The other thing, if you see when you try this that you have too much paint on there, you can take what we call the wipe-off tool, okay? And it has a little bit of rubber under here. It has two different angles on the side. This is wider. And what you can do is if you're going to put a branch, you can come in here like this and just estimate where your branch is going to go, and you can just pull some of that paint right off. All right, so let me show that too. I wanted to show how to do this, and I don't want them being exactly the same, so I'll pull that one over more. So then I just scraped off some of that paint, so now there's less underneath. So after I wipe my brush, I can go back in the black, back in that brown there, and again, I will dip a little tiny bit in my fast flow there. And now I'm just going to go right over this area that I just pulled the paint off a little. And now, see, I'm not getting the underpainting, of course, because I scraped a lot of that paint off. See, so I can paint back and forth without doing that. So really, it's just a preference. Absolutely a preference, whichever way you feel like doing. I'm just running out of paint, but I'm letting it go for now. So I'm just going getting more paint. I see where it's a little shiny. That means there was a little bit of the Terpenoid there. All right, here we go. I'm turning the brush, turning the brush. Okay, so that's just two different ways. You don't have to scrape paint off. It doesn't have to be done like that. You can do it either way. But the object is to keep this underpainting your background a little bit dry, and it will help you so you don't have to keep wiping and adding more paint, wiping, adding more paint. I can see up here I had a little bit more fast flow. It's a little bit shinier than down here. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see that, but I can see that I added a little bit more. So down here probably would be a little easier to do this method, all right? So like I said, we're just using the fast flow in the opposite way that we're used to using it. Usually we put it on first, we do our clouds, it blends nicely with the background, whatever we're doing. I just wanted to use it the opposite way. So we'll see if Wilson, after he sees this, sends me a message saying, "What are you doing, Lucy?" Or he might say, "Okay, cool." So we'll have to just wait and see how he feels about that when the show airs. So here we go. I'm just getting some more paint, like before, more Terpenoid on the filbert brush again. All right, and I'll just put a couple more branches. You can see I'm twisting it in my hand. Now again, it's getting light, so I'm just wiping off, coming back again, and I can see where I may want to add more paint. That's okay if you get these ridges of paint from pushing on there. It'll just make the branch look a little more 3D. That's fine. So maybe I'll come down here, add another big branch, and then I'm going to show you how to use the thinner brushes to add some smaller branches. All right, so in the meantime, I will just get some of these in here. You can see I'm pushing and turning just to get this natural looking branch. So it's really going to be like this branch is coming out from the side. Like I said, really no rhyme or reason, just the idea you want to kind of fill it up a little. Maybe I'll have one coming in this way. You can see I'm twisting and turning. All right, if I don't want that much paint, I could just go back over, kind of swoosh it around a little bit there. All right, so I want to get some of these larger branches in. Then I'll come back and I'll put some secondary and some tertiary branches with smaller brushes, and I'll show you how to do that. Then we'll just add some very simple blossoms to this. So just kind of, see, I just did that one real fast. Get that one in. Now, of course, at home, you'll take your time. You don't have to paint this fast. So to me, they're looking a little bit too straight, and it just could be I'm trying to teach and make sure I get the lesson across. So they look a little bit too straight to me. So I can come in and really try to make something, you know, more crooked, maybe a little bigger, change it up a little. See, I had a lot of paint there, so I'll just bring it out, okay? I can make this side a little bigger, so it looks like that's the main branch, and then these are coming off it. So that's just little adjustments that you would make along the way when you stand back from your painting. So you should stand back a few feet, you know, when you look at it to see, oh, it needs a little something more, you know, and that's how you learn. You know, you'll do one and then you'll see. But this is absolutely beginner. There is nobody that cannot do this, okay? So I want you to really jump right in and give it a try. All right, so I'm just adding a little more. So I think maybe that's enough of the big branches, okay? So I'm just going to lay this brush down for now. And I'm going to go to a smaller brush. Now, the next brush I'm using, and this is a long liner brush, all right? And it holds a lot of paint. When we use any liner, we need to have the paint pretty liquidy, all right? So I'm just dunking this in my bucket again, and I'm coming over between the black and the brown so I can get a little bit of both in there. I may not be getting any black in there, it's hard to see. So I'm going to try to get a little bit of black in there. And I'm turning the brush, okay? And it should be like milk, okay? That's what I like to say, like milk. Not fat-free milk, whole milk. So it's not that liquidy, but it still has some liquid. So I'm turning, 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 and once I try, I'll see if I need more on there, you know, to make it even more liquidy. So I'm holding up my arm, and I'll do one down here so I don't block, okay? So I'm holding up my arm. I don't want it against my body. So I'm just coming in from the branch, and the same thing. I'm turning, and I'm pulling the branch down. Okay, so now you can see we have the thick branch, we have the thinner branch. I am using mostly the tip of this brush, and I'll show you what happens if I don't use the tip of the brush, okay? So I'll come over here this way, maybe it can show a little better. So if I push harder, I'm going to get a little bit of a thicker branch, and it'll be a little bit more choppy, okay? And that's fine too. We want it to look natural. So I'm going to dunk again, and here we go. Back in between my colors, trying to get a little bit of that black. I'm not really getting any in there, but that's okay too. So it's going to be a lot of brown. Now I'm just kind of twisting and turning, and you can notice when I get to the end, I'm going to do that again. When I get to the end, I'm lifting the pressure off the brush. All right, so let's pull one down here. So see, I have the tip, tip, tip. There it is, the tip, and lifting the pressure. Okay, now that's a little straight, and that doesn't matter because there's branches that are all tight, and I'm just working off of each branch. Okay, see there, it got a little dry. You might be able to see how that's a little dry, and it got a little choppy there. So I just dunked right back in my Terpenoid again, and it's hard to go over. Let's see if I get lucky. All right, I got pretty lucky that time. Most of the time you can't go over again. It's hard to go over. Unless you make it much thicker, it's hard to go back over. So what I'll do is I'll just come in here and get a few more of these in. Alrighty, and a little more Terpenoid. So the Terpenoid does evaporate, and it starts to evaporate pretty quickly. So you do have to go into the Terpenoid probably, I think I've been doing it pretty much every single time. Maybe I'm getting 2 out. Let me see if I can get another one out of there. Yeah, pretty much. So I can see all my branches go in the same direction, which is okay. But I do want to have some, like, coming down, you know, like a regular, like you would see a tree, you know, where the branches are all different directions. There, we can pull some down. Now, what I would do, of course, if I had more time, is I would really fill the page up with a lot of branches, give it more interest. But for the sake of time, I just want to make sure that you get this lesson so you can see how it is not difficult at all. And I did step back again, how it's not difficult to learn this, okay? So you would put in as many as you like. I think looks pretty good. Maybe we might need a little something in here. So I'm just kind of filling in some of the empty spots, and you can see I'm making these Ys, you know, kind of like a Y, all right? Maybe we have a little something coming off here. Now, so this is the long liner. I want to show you that we can do the same thing with a short liner. So this is a number 2 script liner. You can see it's shorter. Now, these branches will come out even a little different. Same thing, I just dunked the brush in there. I'm not getting any black. I keep trying. I'm going to dunk it again in there, or dip it, however way you like to say. Now, I can make really, really dainty branches with this, okay? So let me just show you again what I was doing back here. I'm turning my brush and really making that edge of the brush really, really fine. So now I can come in here and I can even take my time and put little branches, okay? So it kind of got a lot of background color in that, so I can try to go over it. All right, so what I would do is come in and do some little branches, some thin little branches. Oh, I'm slipping a little there. Let me see if I can correct that one. I really have to anchor my finger, and I'm trying so hard not to get paint all over me. I'm very good at doing that. So I have a little brown back there, not worried about that. So I can come off of these and do some little ones, okay? That takes a little bit more time, okay? Probably more time than what I have on the show. But I just want to show you what you would do to make this painting really have more interest, is you would put all of the 3 sizes of the branches, all right? So you see how I'm kind of getting some little little ones in here now, okay? So I would take a lot of time to fill it up with more branches, okay? So, but I do want to show you some blossoms, as I won't have time to do all these little branches, all right? I'm just putting a couple more in just to show you. So you can see how nice it would look if you were to put a whole lot of branches in there. Now, next what I want to show you is I'd like to put just some random leaves, all right? Now, random leaves you can do with the filbert brush, or you can use a straight brush for that, all right? So again, I'm just getting some of this paint off. Had a lot of paint on there. I want to dip it in the Terpenoid. I want to thin it out. Okay, really want to thin this. So I'm actually almost cleaning the brush on the palette here, okay? I really want to thin this out. And what I can do is I could just come in and just kind of put in some random leaves. Now, all I'm doing is I'm not worried if they're perfect leaves, all right? This is kind of a modern look, okay? So you don't have to worry about having them be exactly perfect like you would, you know, do a leaf, say, with roses or, you know, whatever. This is, you know, really an artsy look. I'm just pushing the brush and I'm turning it. Pushing the brush and turning, okay? So they don't have to be on the branch. They could be to the side of the branch, either way. Now, my brush, I need to condition it, so it's a little frayed, so I'm having a little bit of a fray come off there. You can see that, and that's okay too. So I just want to get in some of these. Let me show you how to do it with a straight brush, okay? Now, the straight brush, I have just a big one today. I forgot to bring my little brush. And I'm just going to come in, same way. I'm loading this brush, and this is the paint that's a little bit liquidy. You could see the difference. There's my straight brush. So if I wanted to do a leaf, I'm going to do it down here to make sure you can see. I'm just pushing, turning, lifting, pushing, turning, lifting. And just the idea to get some in. Now, I'm picking up the background color, and that's fine because I don't want these leaves as dark as the branch. We just want to put some in, all right? So what I'll do is I'm just going to come around, pushing, turning, lifting. They don't have to be perfect leaves. Now, I'm very good at doing perfect leaves. However, for this painting, don't have to. It's one thing, I'm pretty good with leaves. So if I was going to do a leaf and I wanted it to be absolutely perfect, I would take my time, lay the brush down, and I would make sure that it came out perfect. But in this case, for this painting, we just want to get some leaves in there and fill this up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to do some of these big ones here and there. You can see I'm just pushing the brush down and turning it. It's just the illusion of a leaf, okay? So there we go. So put a few more in here, and then I want to show you a few blossoms. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. Let me go back, get my, my filbert brush, almost called it a fan brush, and I'll just throw some of these small ones in here and there. All right, just for a little bit more interest. You can see I'm just randomly putting them in, just kind of making dabs, okay? If you feel that it's too hard to turn it, you just put some dabs in. But really all I'm doing is pushing down, turning, and lifting. All right, pushing down, turning, lifting. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. Filled it in a little. Like I said, I probably would fill it in a little more, but for the sake of time, just going to go right on and show you how to do some blossoms. Now, what I first want to do the blossoms is I'm going to put a couple centers in first, just so we have some dark in there. All right, so say I'm going to put one here, and then maybe I'll put one here. All right, so I'm going to not clean the brush out. I'm just going to get another filbert rather than take the time to clean it. All right, so I just dunked it in there again. I'm coming into the white. Oops, you can see I put a little bit too much in there, right? You can see how that's dripping around, so I'm just going to add more paint to it. And that's my fault. I didn't tap that brush a little to get some off. Now, so I have a little bit of a liquidy white, maybe a little bit too much paint on there. I'm known to do that, okay? Now, so if here is my center, all I'm going to do is push into it, all right? And I could just wipe off a little, come back in the white, and just push in. Now, we don't know what type of blossom this is, so I have no clue if it is a dogwood. I think has 4, just the idea that it's a blossoming tree. Now, so you can see I picked up some brown. What we can do next is we can come in and pull some of this out. This you don't have to do, okay? So just the idea that we get a little blossom in there. Now I'm going to show you another one. Now I'm not going to liquefy the paint. That was a little bit too loose. I want it a little heavier. I'll come up to my other one. I'm just going to push it right in. All right. And I'm go right over even that branch. All right. So just the idea, they almost look like daisies. You could put as many petals. They're not daisies, of course, because it's a tree. But just the idea to show you how to do the blossoms. Now, I'll come back again with my other brown loaded filbert brush, and maybe I'll put one here and here. I'll put them in the same type of area, so same area. This way you can see a little better. So just pushing in. So this is, like I said, more of a modern painting. See, I'm just pushing it. I can wipe my brush off. All right, coming back again. Pushing, wiping the brush off. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to be neat like I was doing when I did my daisy show. I was trying to be neat, okay? This is just the idea that we want to fill this up with pretty blossoms, all right? Now, I'm just going to wipe this brush off again that I have the white on, and I want to go into this red rose deep color just to show you what you can do. I can make this pink, really, really pretty pink color, and I can do the same thing with pink. Now, you may not want to mix them on your same tree, because I don't know if the tree has pink and white ones, but I just want to show you how it would look if we did another color. So maybe I'll place one there and one there, okay? And going back in my pink again, this light pink color, and here I go. So now I'm just going to push it in. I'm not worried if I'm picking up in some of that brown, okay? Makes it look a little more natural. Here I go, wiping off again. Coming back in, getting more white, a little bit more red rose, a little more white. We just want to tint it a little, not necessarily make it pink. All right, and I can see I didn't put a couple more of these. So maybe I'll just come over here and put one, and maybe over here, all right? Just for placement, just so we have a little bit of a middle. Now I have a lot of paint on there. I'm rolling the brush to get some of that paint off. We do want a lot though. It's okay if it gets bulky with this, because it's going to look a little artsy, see? So wiping it off again. We don't mind a little, not that much though. Now I'm going to pick up some of that from that branch. That's okay too. So now you can see how there's the white and there's the pink, and that's what you would do. You would just add a little bit of color and tint your white, and you'll find a color that you want. So what's good about this, if you want to do a painting for your house, you just pick a color that's in the room, and then this way you can just come right in and make a nice painting. Now I picked up a lot of brown there. That's okay. What I can do is just wipe off my brush. I can go back to the color again, add a little more, and I could just come right in, go right back over it. Yep, the paint will be a little bulky, and that's okay too. So just an idea to show you how you could do that. You can come in and you can dot the centers if you felt like it. You can just get a little bit of black or whatever color you wanted and just put a little bit of extra texture in the middle there, and that always looks pretty good. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. I just wanted to make sure I got the point across how easy it is to start, okay? So of course, if you took your time on this, you could do it neater if you want to be very, very neat. I just wanted to kind of whip this out for you today so you can just get an idea of how easy it is to make a simple tree coming out from the side with the simple background, using the fast flow in the opposite way that we usually use it. And I would add a lot more flowers, and I would make little groups of flowers, and that would be it. But pick the colors you like, and don't be afraid. It's only a couple of brushes, a couple different colors, and you could do a really pretty painting and put it up in your house, okay? So I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll come back and see more of my shows. And you can come and check me out on my website, and we're going to put that on in another minute right at the end there. So thank you again for tuning in.